3 John, I was going to say chapter 1. It's really just one chapter or no chapters, however you want to put that. Verse 1 through 4. The elder, referring to John, to my dear friend Gaius, who I love in the truth, dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. It gave me great joy when some believers came and testified about your faithfulness to the truth, telling how you continue to walk in it. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. So 3 questions. First of all, how authentic are your relationships? Here, John, the elder apostle, he has a real deep connection, a real deep friendship with this man named Gaius. Now, there are at least 3 Gaiuses who are mentioned in the New Testament. That was a very common name in that time, so we don't necessarily know that this one is connected to any of those. No reason to necessarily believe so. But he says, he calls this man, he refers to him as his dear friend Gaius, or sometimes translated dear brother or beloved friend, or, there's really no way in English to capture how strong this relationship is. And it says, who I love in the truth. And I want you to think about your friendships, your relationships. Can you say that you love them in the truth? That is, it's not just that you are affectionate for them, that you enjoy being around them. They're not just somebody that you have mutual interest, but that it is a genuine, truthful, authentic relationship. Not only is a relationship built on the truth, they are a believer as you are a believer, so it's built on that solid foundation of God's truth, but it's also built on truth between you, that you don't hide things, you don't misrepresent things to one another. These guys were true brothers to one another, not because they paid fees. Sometimes you hear people in a frat, we're real brothers. Okay, they didn't pay a fee to join and be brothers that way. They were true brothers. They were true friends because it was authentic. There was a true love based on truth and authenticity. And so, first thing to just think about yourself and your relationships is, how authentic are my relationships? Are they based on perceptions and how I let people think of me, or are they really authentic, where I can let my guard down and where I can really let people in and share with them my greatest joys and my greatest sorrows? They can celebrate with me, but they can also, my fears and my concerns, I can share those things as well. Second question, this is a very interesting question you may have never considered, but how does your physical health compare to your spiritual life? What would happen if they were connected to one another? Like when you went to the doctor and maybe your blood pressure was up, or maybe your triglycerides were up, and they looked at you and said, have you been doing your quiet time lately? Have you been walking with the Lord? You think that was kind of an odd question. But listen to what John says here in verse 2. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. In other words, he says, I'm praying for you. My prayer for you, Gaius, is that I pray that your health and your life circumstances will be every bit the same as your spiritual life. Now, why does he pray that for him? Because he's confident that Gaius has an amazing spiritual life, that he and God are like this, that they are so close. And he's like, man, Guys, if your physical health and your life circumstances were like your walk with the Lord, then dude, you would have the best health. Your body, you'd be so toned, so fit, and your life circumstances would be so great because that's how great your spiritual life is. And so I want you to stop for a minute and ask yourself, if someone prayed a prayer like that for you, and they were a real prayer warrior, they were someone who you thought, wow, their prayers matter. Okay, their prayers really, they're getting past the ceiling. They have the ear of God. Would you be excited, or would you feel like that was a curse? Would you say, whoa, 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 don't pray that for me? Would you want your physical health to match up with your spiritual health? Would you want your life circumstances to match up with your spiritual health? Would that be a blessing or a curse? Because see, if it wouldn't be a blessing, it's good to ask yourself why. Why not? And it's just a thought-provoking question for all of us to ask. Would we be a little bit scared, a little bit nervous for someone to pray that prayer for us? Would others even be confident in praying that prayer about us? It's a tough one, right? Good question, though. Very interesting, this prayer that he prays, saying, hey, I want your health to be every bit as good as your spiritual life is. And third and final question I want you to think about tonight is, what brings you joy? What brings you true joy and happiness? What is it that really, man, it gets you? What is the thing that doesn't just maybe make you smirk or grin, but just brings you a deep joy and excitement? Listen to what it was for John. He said, it gave me great joy when some believers came and testified about your faithfulness to the truth, telling me how you continue to walk in it. And when he says walking in the truth, in biblical language, that's saying not only do you know the truth, but you are living out the truth. You're not just, this isn't just theory for you. You're not just a theologian who knows the right ways to live, but you're actually practicing what you preach. You are actually living the life. That's what walking in the truth is all about. And he goes on to say, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. And he's talking about his spiritual children. Now, a lot of us use that verse, the literal children and grandchildren some of us may have. That is awesome. When we hear a good word about our kids, doesn't that make you feel good when you hear good things? Somebody brags on your kids. Dude, we're all suckers for that, right? When someone says good things about our kids, we're going to perk up. We love to hear that. John was talking about, though, his spiritual children. That is his flock, the people that he cared for. And it made such an impact on him when he'd hear about others and their spiritual walk and them being blessed. I had an experience, I don't know, a week or two ago. I ran into a lady that I see just every once in a while. And she and I have both tried to mentor and to try to help a particular young lady. And for a while, this young lady's walk with the Lord has kind of been roller coasterish, okay? There's been lots of up and downs. But lately, there's been some really good stuff. There's been some breakthroughs. And so when I got to see this lady, I was excited to tell her. I was like, hey, have you heard the good news about our mutual friend? That this and this and this are happening, and and this positive direction is taking place, and this growth is occurring, and this maturity is happening, and there were several good things that I had heard about and had seen, and what was cool is she had also she knew even more than I did, because she had run into this young lady, and she started telling me, oh yeah, and this and this and this also. And man, I was so excited to hear about this person that me and my wife and also this other lady and others have invested in. And you know, when you invest in someone, I mean, we'd love to say that, you know, it's just like this great, this track of growth, and you pour and invest into someone and you just watch as everything just goes up, up, up. And that's not how it happens. I mean, you do what the Lord calls you to do, and sometimes it goes somewhere and you can really just see great things, and sometimes you see and this and that, and you know, and it's all you know is, Lord, this is up to you. You've called me to disciple, to invest, to work, and sometimes it gets discouraging. You know, honestly though, I mean, if you're not being fake about it, we can all tell ourselves, well, I did my part and it's up to God. I'm not the Holy Spirit. And we do tell ourselves those things, but sometimes it gets frustrating, it gets hard. We've prayed, we've tried, but ultimately we're not in control of that person. We can't make somebody want the Lord more, make them want to grow. And sometimes that's sad, because we see what they could be, what could happen if the Lord really, you know, just got a hold of them and if they held on to the Lord. But in this circumstance, not only was I excited to be able to report, hey, did you know the good things about so-and-so and how God is doing stuff? And then when this other lady turned around and said to me, yeah, and here's even some other things you don't know about, some other positive things where God is doing stuff. And I was like, that is so great. And, you know, it is such a blessing to see God's work in someone's life, because that's what's eternal. That's what matters. You know, a lot of the stuff that we do in life that we think is so important ends up in a secondhand store or a junkyard or a whatever in just a few years. Things that we spend lots of money and time on. But when we invest in eternal things, when we invest in people, when we invest in God's kingdom, that stuff matters. That stuff lasts. Man, I love a good ball game as much as anybody, and I can get all up into a ball game. Ask my wife, okay? I get more up into it than she thinks I really should, all right? I can get real competitive. But what is the greatest thing? What is the most important thing? What is the thing that really drives you, the thing that really gives you the greatest joy? And that is a question that all of us need to ask. And for John, he said, I have no greater truth than to see my children walking in the truth. In other words, there is nothing that gives me a greater rush, a greater high, a greater feeling of joy and contentment, a greater feeling of purpose. There is no better feeling in this world than to watch and to see the Spirit of God transforming a man, woman, boy, or girl, changing a believer to be more like Jesus. And if you think about it, there is nothing better than that. So why would any of us have an answer anything but that? Why would any of us think anything else is a greater joy, a better experience than seeing the miracle of God changing a life? And we can enjoy lots of other things, and that's, man, God put a lot of beautiful, wonderful amazing things here on this planet for us to do, to see, to enjoy, and that's awesome. But what is better than to see God change a life? So, questions from John, 3 John, verse 1 through 4. How authentic are your friendships? How does your physical health and your spiritual health compare? What if they were related? Would that be scary, or would that be a happy thing for you? And what brings you the greatest joy? Hope you guys are having a great week, and I hope you continue to walk in the truth. Hope I do, and hope that will bring all of us joy as we walk